need more evidence that Ohio State is treating this like a talent-equated game. They practiced till it was dark outside, and then only the captains talked after practice on this Woody Wednesday. Welcome to Snap Judgments on the Austin and Berm Show. I am Austin. He's Jeremy Birmingham. And you, again, can throw out the record. Ohio State is very much convinced that this is a game that they have to treat with maximum seriousness. I popped out a little bit during practice. They had the crowd noise on. They're playing at home on Saturday. They're leaving no stone unturned.
It's cold, it's windy, it's rainy, and they're outside till dark. Ryan Day clearly nursing a cold, like not exactly, but they're just powering through. The program seems pretty focused. All the players we did talk to, none of them were at all willing to dismiss this Penn State team as a disaster or some sort of cakewalk. They all recognize what Penn State is. Caleb Downs was asked about, his podcast in Michigan and other stuff. He said, we're playing Penn State.
Playing Penn State.
We're playing Penn State. So it is an interesting time because I don't remember really many years where the opinion about Penn State between the outside and the inside was so different. Normally it's like, well, Penn State's pretty good, so like this is what it's going to be. I don't know. I think Ohio State sees that Penn State has the parts to be a problem if things go the way Penn State wants them to go. So they know that Penn State is going to try and protect Ethan Grunkmeyer and run the ball and get the ball out quick to Trevor Pena and those guys, and that's what the defense is preparing for. That's what Sonny Styles said. I asked him, like, is it harder to prepare for a guy you haven't seen and then you add in the week off? Like, they're going to have some wrinkles. Ryan Day talked about it on Tuesday. Like, this is going to be a desperate Penn State team. Sonny Styles said the same thing. Like, they're going to try things. They're going to do things they haven't done. And the Buckeyes have to be prepared for that first punch. But then you talk to Matt Patricia and he said, hey, we're good. We'll be all right. Like, they've got plans. They always have plans.
They have plenty of plans, and they have the personnel, which I think is really the key to this whole conversation because, Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs had a very easy time, I think, deflecting the Jim Knowles conversation. He is no longer their defensive coordinator. He has nothing to do with what they're going to do on Saturday against Penn State. Conversely, like Austin Sareveld has spent, the last several years working against a Jim Knowles scheme in practice. And he got, I think, 4 questions in a row at the end. He was I was joking with him before he went over there. I was like, well, no one's going to ask me about Jim Knowles. I'm like, I wouldn't be so sure about that. He's like, are you going to do it? I said, I don't need to. I'm going to do that right now, which is, this helps, right? That you've seen it before. And then the conversation was, yeah, we're familiar with what Jim Knowles wants to do, but he doesn't have, and this is about the most controversial or inflammatory thing that Austin Sareveld has ever said, they don't have Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, Tyleik Williams, and Ty Hamilton. And that's a fair argument. That is true.
Or Caleb Downs or Davison Igbinosun.
So it's full marks, full credit. They know, what the scheme is going to look like, and they also know that they could get some wrinkles that they haven't seen before. But there is still a lot of confidence that the Ohio State offensive line, even if there's the potential for more right guard rotation, which tonight I would say Ryan Day inched back towards the other direction from where we were on Snap Judgments on Tuesday. We can get into that in a minute, but they're familiar with that. And so the offensive guys, Brandon Ennis and Austin Sareveld, the only offensive captains, or both offensive captains, it's more important what they think about Jim Knowles on defense than what Sonny or Caleb had to say about their experience with him.
Yeah, true. I mean, they're the ones that have to go against it. Caleb and Sonny don't. And it doesn't matter if Jim Knowles runs the same or tries to run the same defense at Penn State that he did here. It doesn't, in fact, impact those players at all. For the wide receivers, for the offensive line, certainly. I think it'll be fascinating to see because, the Jack conversation, not the Jack Sawyer, but like the Jack position, Penn State has basically thrown that out with the baby in the bathwater in the last couple of weeks and haven't really done much with Chaz Coleman, the freshman from Ohio. So,
the Jack doesn't exist?
I don't think so. It exists at Ohio State now, but not there. So, I think that there is a piece of this that is really just trying to get a sense. And this is where Matt Patricia and the NFL background, I think, will be one of the difference makers for Ohio State on Saturday. The Buckeyes no longer have to wait until halftime to make adjustments. Aside from the iPads on the sideline, Matt Patricia's on the sideline, and he can see it and say, okay, he can help. He can say, okay, this is what their defense is doing now. And so it's a dynamic that I think is going to be very interesting because normally you don't think that the defensive coordinator is spending all that time watching the other defense, but I think in this case he will because he can see what they're actually working to.
Yeah, and I think that's more important than ever. You mentioned not waiting until halftime to make adjustments. We've seen other versions of Ryan Day's Ohio State or just other versions of Ohio State in general where it's like, all right, you can you can play a lower scoring game and get to halftime, and then you come back out in the third quarter and the game is over. But when you're playing fewer possessions, the way Ohio State has consciously decided to play this year, you can't really afford to wait. You're going to need to be able to make live in-game adjustments in the first quarter, in the second quarter, and you don't have a lot to work with. I know that's been, you and I have had conversations with Brian Hartline about that. It's like, especially after Washington, it's like you don't have a ton of time to figure it out what Washington's defense might be throwing at you, and maybe that won't be as big of an issue with Jim Knowles and Penn State on Saturday. I don't know, but like whatever it is, you have to make the most of the few opportunities you have, because I don't really believe that Ohio State's going to deviate from that plan.
No, and if Penn State has any success at all on Saturday, it's going to be extending their possessions, running out clock. So, I hope we don't see a 3-possession half like we did at Washington, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're looking at a 4 or 5 possession first half if Penn State has any success running the ball. And if that happens, then the defense is the group that's going to have to make the adjustment, because the offense is going to do what the offense does. Ryan Day talked about it tonight in his lightning session. Again, asked about the running game ad nauseum, as he always is, but it's him saying, well, we don't – somebody asked about the explosives on offense with the run game, and he's like, go ahead and do them. Like,
by all means.
By all means. Like, you're allowed to score on this play if you want. He said, they're not drawing them up to get 3 and 4 yards, so they know they have to get better, and the Ohio State offense – I don't think this Ohio State defense is going to be worried about explosives from Penn State. They have to be worried about ground control, ball control, running out the clock, because that's how this Ohio State team is going to get gotten. And we talked about that before the Illinois game.
Yeah, just when you think you've got it, that's when you get it.
That's right.
So, taking note, as we always do on a Woody Wednesday, the very last player out from that dark field was, no surprise, Caleb Downs. So a lot of the work was being done in here, getting out of the cold, under these wonderful upgraded lights.
It's so much better.
Like, amazing work that they've done to upgrade inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. The renovation's ongoing. But to my right, in this corner over here, you had Tegra Shabola and Ethan Onyanwa getting extensive work on some, looked like pass sets. Even Matt Patricia getting involved to help with that. So I think, I don't know how you feel about Ryan Day's comments specifically about, if there were going to be changes, or if your percentage has adjusted from Tuesday to Wednesday. Today, it felt more like Ryan Day was like, hey, this could be a 50-50 deal.
And he was careful to say we're not likely to make wholesale changes. But when you say that and you leave the word like now in there, or it's even implied, then I think that we are obviously going to make some interpretations of our own.
But I'd take wholesale to be more than one.
Yeah. Well,
I'm focused on one change that is
but there's
possible.
no other changes that really make a whole lot of sense. I suppose, again, we've talked about it. Philip Daniels struggled with Wisconsin. Maybe there's an opportunity for Ethan Onyanwa to get outside and play some right tackle. Maybe Ian Moore gets out there. Maybe, we saw Jake Cook taking snaps as a center. Maybe this is because Josh Padilla is not.
Well, you have to.
Josh Padilla is no longer going to be your backup center if he's going to be in the game. So, now there's all these other moving parts, and it's fun. Honestly, Ryan Day talked about it, but he was talking about it specifically with the running backs and playing the young players, and how the younger guys are not really used to these long seasons, and so they want to slow burn, and the burn is picking up. It's November.
It's going to be November.
And I've heard November is for contenders.
I can confirm.
Stamp that. And that's what these Buckeyes are now working toward. Every little thing is being tinkered with, but they also know that they have some pretty important parts that are ready to rock and roll. And Saturday, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out Ryan Day for Saturday, where he's at. But I think he wants to be as non-emotional as possible now. And even the Tuesday comments about Jim Knowles and, being human and all that stuff. If Ohio State can go out and take care of business on Saturday, I bet the post-game press conference feels a lot different than the midweek press conference.
Yeah, I think it would. You think it was the cold? I think he was pulling back. Whether that's saving for Saturday or just maybe I said too much on Tuesday.
Maybe I had a separate conversation with him about some other things, and he had a cough. It's been going around. I was out with it all week last week. It is what it is. So I think he's trying to get a little zen, a little Jim Knowles zen, and be ready for Saturday. So you asked about Edric Houston. That's something that's been on your mind over the last couple of days. We'll talk about it a little bit more on the beat, but it seemed like Ryan Day's answer about Edric Houston was more in-depth than we're used to for a lightning round and more informational than we're used to.
I did not think that was the answer I was going to get. I'm going to be honest.
So what did he say to you?
He said, well, first of all, Edric Houston graded out as a champion with the reps that he got at Wisconsin, which gives not the most extensive workload in the world. We are going to talk about that even more on the Three Things Thursday on the beat tomorrow. So, but a lot of this information is a little bit different. With the health thing is a component. Ryan Day did not talk about that specifically. He never does, but he has talked, I think, about the day-to-day effort and understanding in practice, and tied that in as well with the fact that he had come in expecting to play defensive end and being thrust into a spot that maybe wasn't what he envisioned at 3-Tech, and all these things about dealing with adversity and showing up day after day. And I think it was a challenge for him in like every way, mentally and physically. And the start of the year wasn't going the way he wanted. And I think it kind of snowballed a little bit. And you put out one fire over here with maybe you have a bad practice combined with the other fire over here that you got to get the treatment on your ankle and your knee. And I think that may have overwhelmed him. I don't want to put words in his mouth. That's not exactly what Ryan Day said. But as he was describing it, there were a lot of challenges that were going on at once.
He compared it to Caden Curry as a second-year player as well, like just trying to figure out where do I fit.
And how to take that next step and how to become a key contributor that's bringing value to Ohio State every single day, not just on Saturday, which is the key, because I think we can all look at Edric Houston and expect in a game, few people have the physical profile and tools that he has. He's going to be unblockable in just about every spot that he can be in, but to set yourself up for that success requires a lot of work in here on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, on a Thursday. And so, because I know that it's all encompassing, which is why I asked, like, whatever it is that he was dealing with, it seems like he's past it. And that was the most important part, was that Ryan Day's like, yeah, you can see that the energy is different. And whether that means that the production is about to ramp up against Penn State on Saturday, we'll see. But all the signs are positive.
And it's a reminder to me of how unique this program is. There's a lot of places around the country that would just play the 5-star, even if he wasn't physically hurt and there was other stuff going on, that they would say, well, you're just going to get out there and then you ruin a kid. And Ryan Day's commitment and Larry Johnson's commitment to his guys and making sure that they are understanding that there's a responsibility that comes with playing for Ohio State, that doesn't matter what your ranking was, doesn't matter how much this team needs you. If you're not going to be out there doing the right things every day, then you're going to play a lot less than you imagined you would. And, I guess we'll see how that translates to the final 5 games of the season, but it certainly sounded optimistic. Yeah,
we'll see, as you mentioned, what that means, because we are one practice and one day closer for Ohio State taking on Penn State in a talent-equated matchup game in the Horseshoe. It is a big.
He didn't call it a talent-equated game. He calls it a matchup game.
They're
are they synonymous?
Yeah, I've inquired.
Okay.
If it's a matchup game, it's talent-equated.
Okay.
That's the criteria.
All right.
So, and Sonny Styles validated the same thing. They're talented too.
They know they're talented. Penn State is not a bad football team. They've played bad football in the last 4 weeks, and they've had bad coaching for the last 11 years. So
can't disagree with that in any way, shape, or form.
We're going to be back.
Don't even have James Franklin opinions anymore.
Yeah, we're going to be back with the beat on Thursday morning.
Yeah, we will.
We'll have some talking stuff Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, you will.
We'll have bold peas for Friday morning. We'll be back at Ohio State. The football stadium's over there on Saturday for what's shaping up to be a beautiful weekend and a big football game.
Can't wait. So stick around. We'll see you right back on the 97.1 The Fan YouTube channel, the 10 TV YouTube channel, or 10 TV Plus, or in your audio-only podcast feeds on Thursday morning for The Beat. Thanks for joining us on a Woody Wednesday, Snap Judgment style. He's Berm. I'm Austin. So long.